You're one of maybe a few thousand humans left alive on the entire planet. It's roughly 74,000 years ago. The sky has been dark for months, not night dark, ash dark. The sun is a dim smear behind a gray ceiling that never lifts. Every single day, it gets a little colder. A volcano on the other side of the world just tried to end your species. This is the story of the Toba Catastrophe, the closest humanity may have ever come to disappearing entirely. The evidence isn't buried in myth, it's written directly into your DNA. Toba is a supervolcano located on the island of Sumatra, in modern-day Indonesia. Around 74,000 years ago, it erupted in one of the largest volcanic events of the last 2 million years. This was a volcanic explosivity index 8, the maximum rating on the scale. Comparing it to Mount St. Helens is like comparing a bonfire to a nuclear detonation. Toba ejected somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000 cubic kilometers of material. That's enough volcanic debris to bury the entire state of California more than a foot deep. Ash from Toba has been found as far away as East Africa and the Arabian Peninsula. Sediment cores from Lake Malawi contain a distinct layer of Toba ash dating to this event. The ash cloud didn't just darken the regional sky, it circled significant portions of the globe. In 1998, Michael Rampino and Stanley Ambrose proposed the Toba Catastrophe Theory. An eruption of this size would inject massive quantities of sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere. It converts into sulfate aerosols, tiny reflective particles that block incoming sunlight. The result is a volcanic winter, dramatically reduced temperatures lasting years, sometimes over a decade. Ambrose calculated global temperatures could have dropped 3 to 5 degrees Celsius for several years. A few degrees of cooling is the difference between a stable growing season and repeated crop failure. For hunter-gatherers, a multi-year cold snap is an extinction-level pressure. Around the same time, human populations in Africa appear to have crashed. Genetic studies of mitochondrial DNA found unusually low diversity for a species our size and age. In 1993, geneticist Rebecca Cann noticed this pattern years before Ambrose connected it to Toba. Ambrose suggested Toba triggered a population bottleneck, possibly down to 3,000 to 10,000 individuals worldwide. That's smaller than the population of many single high schools today. Every person alive today would be descended from that tiny surviving group. That would explain why humans are genetically more similar to each other than most primate species. But here's where honest science has to pump the brakes. Not every researcher agrees. In 2010, archaeologists excavated Jwalapuram in southern India. Beneath and above a thick layer of Toba ash, they found stone tools identical in style. If Toba caused a global extinction event, you'd expect a dramatic break in the archaeological record. Instead, researchers found continuity, the same tools made the same way, right through the apocalypse. This led to a competing hypothesis, the volcanic winter skeptic position. Ice cores from Greenland and Antarctica preserve tiny bubbles of ancient atmosphere. They do show a sulfate spike consistent with Toba, but the cooling signal appears smaller and shorter-lived. Closer to 1 degree Celsius of cooling for a few years, rather than a decade-long deep freeze. So, which is it? Extinction-level catastrophe or survivable climate hiccup? The truth is probably somewhere in the uncomfortable middle. The genetic bottleneck signal is real. Human genetic diversity genuinely is unusually low. Newer research pushed some estimates of the bottleneck earlier, possibly to 900,000 years ago. A separate population crash identified in 2023 using a technique called FitCoal, analyzing genetic data from over 3,000 modern humans. Human ancestors may have dropped to around 1,280 breeding individuals for nearly 120,000 years, long before Toba ever erupted. It's possible humans faced multiple near-extinction events across our evolutionary history. The humans who survived Toba were probably scattered in small, isolated pockets. Isolation accelerates genetic drift. Traits that might otherwise stay rare become concentrated. Shortly after, between 60,000 and 50,000 years ago, the archaeological record shows something remarkable. A wave of behavioral modernity. Symbolic art, personal ornamentation, complex toolkits, evidence of long-distance trade networks, all appearing with new intensity. Whether this was triggered by the bottleneck or simply coincided with it remains genuinely open. Correlation is not causation, and any honest documentary has to admit that. Every person alive today, all 8 billion of us, descends from a population that may have numbered only in the thousands. You're not just descended from survivors. You're descended from the surviving fraction of survivors. The ones who made it through darkness, cold, and hunger that most of their contemporaries didn't. Next time the sky looks a little gray, remember, your ancestors watched it stay that way for years. That's not a footnote in the human story. That might be the whole reason there's a human story left to tell.